What is up, guys? How's everybody doing? Okay, so today is October 20th. Today I just released the video of the hashtag call 22. Again, it's not a knock on the push-ups. It's not a knock on the squat challenges. It's not a knock on any of those. They're all great. If you do them, that's good on you, man. But I want to take it one step further. So the hashtag call 22 for 22 days starting right now, and it'll end on Veterans Day on November 11th. I want everybody to call a veteran. So today I called my buddy Aaron. Tomorrow I'm going to call somebody else. The next day, for 22 straight days, I'm going to call 22 veterans. I want everybody else to do the same thing. So the way it works is I call my buddy Aaron, me and him call a veteran tomorrow, and then those 4 call the next day, and then those 8 call the next day. And the way it works out, one phone call will spread out to 4 million. If you do the math, you go ahead and do the math. I'm sure I'm wrong. I don't know. But the whole point is to get people reaching out to each other and actually just making a difference, right? Because a phone call can save a life. I know myself and many other people have had phone calls at some dark times, and it's really helped and, turn things around. So hashtag call 22, throw that hashtag up, share that video. It's on Warriors Next Adventure, Facebook and YouTube. Share that around with your friends, call your friends. And if you're not a veteran, just call one of your friends. You guys can do it too. We're all in this fight together. Today we are brought to you by TKL Knives, as usual. If you go to TKL Knives, you can order a knife made by a Marine, which today, Chris Ruiz, we're actually going to talk about forging as well. He makes knives. They're pretty fucking sweet. So if you go to TKL Knives, you use the promo code WARRIOR, you get 10% off, and Tim donates 10% to Warriors Next Adventure. So that's pretty fucking awesome. And then also these new hats made by Southpaw Laser. My buddy JD, he's an Air Force Security Forces veteran. These hats are awesome. They're very limited supply. I've already sold quite a few of them. They're $30 plus shipping and handling. It's about $6 for shipping. So those things are pretty sweet. And if I sell out quickly, I'm going to get more. So today, my guest is going to be Chris Ruiz. He's going to be one of the hosts of the WNA BJJ for the PTSD versus Jiu-Jitsu documentary. We should be there late April, early May. So I'm going to bring him on. Yo, Chris, what's up, man?
What's cracking?
How you doing?
Doing.
Hey, so sorry about this year. COVID kind of screwed things up.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, it sucked. We were supposed to be out there. I think it was the last week of April.
Yeah.
To go out to Santa Maria, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was pretty pissed off. It completely ruined all of my plans.
Yeah, we actually had to stop another workshop prior to that. I had canceled it anyway because I didn't feel a vibe coming from that workshop. So I canceled it, and it just so happened that soon thereafter COVID hit, and then it worked out, but it still kind of sucked regardless. So
yeah, it's put a damper in. And honestly, that's been one of the biggest issues with, the jiu-jitsu community is you got some who, want to abide by the rules, but then you got guys like me. It's like, it's just destroying businesses left and right. I mean, everybody's got their own personal ideas and thoughts on COVID, and I get it. I know I'm going against the grain on the whole thoughts of COVID, and I've pissed some people off. That's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Me and you both, man.
It just pisses me off, because it's like, what do we fight for? Just to be told that we have to fucking muzzle up and wear a mask and do all this, when it's like, people die from the flu at a way higher rate over the last, I think it was the last 5 years, 5 million people died from the flu or something like that.
Something
and you
like
see people walking around wearing masks. I get that it's new, but it's like, okay, we've had some time. We've seen the percentages. We understand that it's not as dangerous as we once thought it was. I know there's certain people that are
it's still
nervous.
Don't get me wrong.
For sure.
My little sister and my mom are IC nurses in Arizona, and so we talk about it fairly regularly. And they have the training and stuff like that, but it is something to be taken serious. I've had a nephew had it, but he kicked it within a week.
Mm-hmm.
I have had a good friend. I have a friend of mine who is a law enforcement agent here. Both he and his wife had it, and we'll be playing Call of Duty online, and we'll crack a joke, and so of course me and another friend of mine, we're laughing fine. Then he starts laughing. He's like, "Don't make me laugh. It hurts. It coughs." And then he starts hacking up everything that comes wrong with it. So, it's something to be serious. But to me, and I try to explain this to my little sister, and it's the amount of fear that has been driven behind this and been pushed. That's what I don't like. And yeah, people like you and I and other combat vets, to me, we've seen and we've been through a lot worse, where we wake up and we really don't know, hey, is today going to be the day that I'm going to get shot, at the right spot, at the right time or wrong time? Am I going to, step on an IED? Am I going to get mortared today? We don't know. In 2003, 2004, when I was in, we didn't know. It was you walk out of the hooch around 0630, and all of a sudden you hear thum thum thum. You're like,
oh shit, here we go.
Coming in today? All right, and I can Kevlar, let's go. And then you carry on. So
yeah, it's hard to explain to people, why a lot of combat vets kind of have the thinking like this, right? And I've seen some that are pushing the opposite direction, but the vast majority of combat vets are kind of on the same thinking as we are. Where it's like, what, we're not scared of it because we literally walked around every day not knowing if we were going to live,
Yeah.
And so it's just like we're just not scared anymore. I think about things and I assess the dangers, I guess, sometimes, but for the most part, I'm just like, fuck it, who cares? If I die, I die. We're all gonna die someday. I might as well die doing some shit that I love.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
No, it's funny because I've said the same thing to people, and what comes out of their mouth, I'm being inconsiderate. I'm insensitive. It's like, no, I'm not. I just have a different viewpoint than you. I'm not right. I may be wrong, but you're not right, and you're definitely not wrong at the same time. Let's just keep it peaceful, and let's just try to remain happy during this crazy ass time. Let's just support each other. So, which in my small town of Santa Maria, we were seeing that more, and we do see it more and more. Santa Maria is a very large agriculture town built on oil reserves as well as, agriculture. So if you get strawberries from anywhere, look where it says Santa Maria, guaranteed it came from here. I probably driven by the fields. I probably know the landowners or the field owners that actually where that crop came from. But here it's very small, tight knit. I really can't go anywhere in this town without saying hi to at least one person. Like, I hate going to Costco just because I'm going to run into somebody that I know, which isn't a bad thing, but sometimes I just want to get in and get out.
I know how you feel, man.
So, I love Santa Maria to a degree. It has its faults, don't get me wrong, especially right now because there's nothing really to do. We're between Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo, so we literally have to drive and go do something. And when you don't feel like it, or you have two little ones like I do, you're like, oh, we got to pack more stuff. I just want to go for a few hours, but we got to bring half the house with us and all that stuff. So, but yeah,
it's just frustrating, and like you were saying, we just have different points of view. It doesn't mean that I don't care about people. The amount of folks, I'm disappointed in the amount of people in the last like 6 to 8 months who have told me that I'm an inconsiderate prick and I don't care about anybody. I'm like, I mean, I kind of created a nonprofit based on caring about people, but I guess, sure. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, what, like when we went to Colorado, my buddy Jamie just commented, he actually came to Colorado as well. But we had a bunch of people commenting, and I had people sending me messages like, how dare you take groups of veterans to another state and not wear masks? I was like, well, it's not mandatory here. So why would I wear a mask if it's not mandatory?
Yeah.
And so I was like, just we have a different viewpoint. It's just because I want to go out and have fun and enjoy my life doesn't mean that I'm literally looking at you wanting you to die.
Yeah. No,
have a different
100%.
perspective.
Yeah.
It's like, and it sucks.
I don't like I'm not sure about you, but because of wearing a gas mask in over 100-degree weather in MOP 3 or MOP 4, it's not fun. It really isn't. So people are like, well, you should be used to it. Yeah, I wear a respirator when I'm wearing a mask, only when I'm using certain grits on my belt grinder. But that's just so I don't suck in harmful metals that are going to give me cancer. And I've done it before where I'm like, screw it, I don't need it. It's a 600 grit sand belt. I'll be fine. I'm sucking all these fine particulates. Well, I'm 40. And so I shouldn't be doing that to my body because
Mm-hmm.
I don't heal as fast as I used to. I'm not this, I'm not 19 years old anymore where I can like snap an arm and then I sneeze and then it's back to normal. But excuse me. But so I wear a mask only just because I don't want to get a business owner in trouble. I do not
Yeah.
like wearing a mask. I get hot in it, and sometimes I can't catch my breath in time, or I got to sit there. It just reminds me of just being back in a gas mask, back in boot camp, or doing mock training and whatnot prior to 2003, when we thought Sodom had all these WMDs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't like wearing it. So I don't go out just for that reason, because I don't want to sit there, find my mask, put it on. It's like, then my oldest has ADHD, and you should hear her right in the middle of Costco. The first time we were able to go to Costco, it was hilarious because she doesn't like anything around her face. So she starts yelling and screaming on top of her lungs, I hate my mask. I hate the government. COVID's stupid. Just going off right in the middle of COVID. And my wife, I'm dying. I'm crying. My wife starts like, it's okay, baby, okay. And I'm like, but not right now, honey. Now, and everyone's looking at her. Some people are laughing. Some people are like, oh my gosh, she's having a meltdown. I'm like, yeah, this is what this shit does to people like her. So
Well, I
it's
think
just
that
funny.
the biggest concern that I had with all of this, mainly with the lockdowns, not the whole mask thing, but mainly with the lockdowns, was the potential for the raise in suicide and domestic
100%.
abuse and child neglect, child abuse, all these things. And I called it from the fucking beginning, and I was really hoping I was going to be wrong, but unfortunately I wasn't. I mean, I'm a 911 dispatcher for the Minnesota State Patrol. Anybody who thinks that violence and crime and murder and rape and suicide hasn't gone up in the last 8 months, you're full of shit. Because
they're wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because the amount of calls that we get, just in the last few months, I had 3 suicidal guys. One of them who lost his job. His place closed down because of COVID, because of the shutdowns, and he couldn't pay his mortgage. And so he lost his business space, and he was driving around with a gun in his hand, and we were trying to find him for a couple hours, and then we've had a bunch of other people, saying that I can't do this anymore. And I personally, like, as you know, like, I run Warriors Next Adventure. And so we're suicide prevention. Right.
Yeah.
And my phone number is the number for, if you need to talk, just call me. And the amount of calls that I got because of people fucking struggling with these lockdowns and being secluded, and it's just, it drives me insane. And so everybody thinks that I'm just some asshole talking, just saying stuff. I'm like, no, I'm directly in front of this stuff. I'm watching it happen. I get why some people are scared, and I get why some people are nervous. I totally get it. Me and my dad, complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Sure. I get it. My dad has cancer, and so I get it. I understand, but I don't think that I should be ostracized and yelled at because I disagree. It's bullshit.
I
both opinions should be equally respected.
Yeah.
I have an ADA, so I don't have to wear a mask. I actually went to the VA and made sure to get all my paperwork and stuff. So I'm like, I don't have to wear it. So,
well, I'm my PTSD bumped up because I was having a lot of issues, like you and I talked about in the past, or last year, to where I was getting 10%. Now I'm up to 40%. So I'm at 60% disability. My therapist and my wife think it should have gone up. I was like, that's not my call. Hey, I got a pay rate. All right, I'm happy. It's like, it's covering our mortgage, honey.
I know, right?
But it's it's the amount of just feeling my stress and anxieties, because we closed down at the last possible minute. I told everybody that we will shut down when the state and or county and or city come down and saying you have to close right now. And that's literally what we did. Once I finally got word, I reached out to all my students going, we are closed until hopefully for 2 weeks. And then I was still coming in here, and I was still trying to start doing the YouTube thing. And that was challenging all on its own, because it's kind of hard to, especially for jiu-jitsu, which is very partner based. There are some solo drills that you can do. You can do a lot of exercises and stuff like that. This is to get your body there. But, you try doing YouTube stuff for adults and or children. And my wife teaches a 3-year-old class. And she was like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, honey, you can do this. But then I was catching myself starting to struggle. Then just my anxiety not going spiking and whatnot. I went, instead of thinking negatively, well, I was thinking negative. I was getting really aggressive, just speaking. Starting to yell at my kids more because my world was flipped upside down because my oldest was now out of school. She all of a sudden had to be online. And I'm like, I'm not prepared to do this.
Yeah, I got both mine home too, man. It's just,
Yeah,
it's fucking
it's
difficult.
rough. It's rough. So, I broke toys because they just pissed me off just enough, and I'm breaking toys and whatnot. Then I'm at the end going, "Oh, kids, I'm so sorry," and they still talk about it. I broke their hockey stick, which was a plastic golf club, and I just smashed it. And
I get it though.
You know what I mean? But and besides that, alcohol went through the roof because when everything else was shut down, you had liquor stores that are still considered essential.
Yeah,
dispensaries.
Who decided what is essential or not? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. You can't go to fucking church, but you can go to the liquor store to get a bunch of booze and go home and get hammered. Yeah. Like, come on, and I'm not religious. I don't go to church. I don't follow faith or anything like that. But why should somebody not be allowed to practice their faith? That's a First Amendment right. And then you got people over in, I think it was down in like Kentucky or something like that. They were hosting an outdoor sermon and they still came and arrested a bunch of people. I'm like, what the fuck is happening in our country right now? Yeah. And it sickens me to see how easily everybody just conformed to everything. And then if you just asked a question, if you challenged it just a little bit, you're automatically ostracized. You're a piece of shit. You don't care about people and you hate old people. It's like, no, that's not it at all. I just have common sense and I'm asking questions because it doesn't make sense to me. And so, it sucked. That caused a lot of arguments and it sucked. I had a lot of people unfriend me on Facebook because I'm vocal about my opinions about it. And I'm fine with that. And if people aren't okay with that, that's fine. It's my First Amendment right to say whatever I want. That's why veterans, I would say are a little bit more outspoken. It's like, you know what? I spent over 2 years overseas fighting for this country. The least I can do is fucking speak up about some things I don't agree with. Yeah. So don't sit here and try to tell me that I can't, Yeah. And it just sucks, and there you get so many people that are just saying what the news is saying and not thinking for themselves. Like, man, just stop and think about it, man. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, and then the election doesn't help and, all this crap. But anyway, fucking after that fucking rant, not why I wanted to talk today.
No, I know.
But yeah, so tell us about your military service. You were in the Marines for how long and what years?
I did 4 years from 2001 to 2005. So I was I signed up before 9/11. Everyone thinks I signed up post 9/11. I was like, no. I signed up. I was graduated high school in 2000 and was going to school to become an animator because I like to draw and I wanted to, this is when like Toy Story and some of the computer animation cartoons were starting to get really popular and really big. And I just I've always enjoyed it. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can get a job at Pixar one of these days. So let me go through the proper, let me get an art degree and go on from there. So started taking animation at the local JC here in town, and was, the teacher there who was, he was good. Actually, I wish I could remember his name, but I made friends with some of the animators inside the class, and they were giving me pointers and whatnot. And Cal Arts kept popping up in conversation because I was the school to go to for any kind of art degrees, performance arts to just painting, sculpture, and all that stuff. So, I was thinking about it, and then I asked one day, I'm like, "Hey, how much does it actually cost to go to Cal Arts?" And now I could be exaggerating, and I could be completely off on this number, but again, mind you, it's been way over 20 years. And he was like, "You're pushing about 80 to 100 grand." I'm like, "Huh?" Like it was just like, someone just telling me that my dog died. And I was like, oh, fuck, what the hell am I supposed to do? So, I looked into it and whatnot. And I was like, well, shit, my parents can't afford that. I definitely can't afford that, but I really want to do this. And as a junior in high school, I talked to one of the recruiters and whatnot. And the girl who I was dating at the time just reamed me a whole new asshole because she thought I was leaving like right then and there. My parents and I got in a huge argument. But
same kind of thing happened with me too.
right. So, it just I was dating my wife then, and so I talked to her about it, and she wasn't happy, and she might be watching right now, so she'd be like, "Damn it, Christopher." Love you, honey. But because her uncle is a career airman. He was a fire chief and all that stuff.
Okay.
So she saw some of the negative side due to his experiences and stuff like that, which I took into consideration. But here in Santa Maria as a teenager, it's one of the worst towns in the world because there's really nothing to do.
Yeah.
Especially back in the 90s. So
something like skateboard and surfing, huh?
Skateboard, surf, drink and screw. That's about it. We actually had the highest teen pregnancy rate for many, many years because there's literally nothing to do. So if you had the friends or your parents had the stash, you raided the stash, and then it just kind of, oh geez, Hollywood Marine or real recruit training.
Paris
Oh,
Island.
don't get me started on that. No. I am not going there, Jamie. No, we're all Marines.
I think
no matter where you go.
Jamie's he works with ROTC guys over in I think Fort Knox, right, Jamie? I can't remember what exactly it was. Jamie's the guy he raised a shitload of money for Warriors Next Adventure, so I flew him out to Colorado, and we climbed a mountain together. So it's fair enough.
Oh, right on. Well, good for you, Jamie. Anyway, so I walked out of class and there was the Marine Corps recruiter, and I was like, shit. All right, let's go talk with them. This was October. Before I knew it, I was heading down to MEPS, swearing in for the first time, doing the physical stuff. And then March 11th, I was heading down to boot camp. So it happened, boom, boom, boom. And I did it because I needed the money for school and I needed to get out of town. I knew if I stayed here in Santa Maria, I would end up in trouble one way or another.
Yeah.
And the girlfriend didn't like it at the time, aka, now my wife, but it was the best decision I've ever done. Definitely made me appreciate things just a little bit more, made me grow up. Definitely gave me tools that I needed and still use today for running my martial arts school.
Yeah.
And so without that, I wouldn't be the leader or the person or the man that I am today. So
were they still training McMap back then, or was it Krav Maga?
They basically just started McMap.
Oh, okay.
Just started McMap because it was called line training first. So they did some tweaks to it, and then they call it McMap. Hey, kiddo. And then I'm not sure what they do now.
Yeah.
So I can reach out to my godson is in Pensacola right now for aviation school. So I can reach out to him going, hey, what'd you guys do for martial art training? So he can tell me.
We had a special guest today. Charlie is Charlie's home today. She just got done playing some games on her phone. So I guess she's done. Had enough. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's we had some Marines training jiu-jitsu with us in Iraq in 2008. I had only trained for a few months, and I never wore a gi, so it was all no gi stuff. And they come over and talk shit like, "Oh, Marine Corps training is much better than your bullshit jiu-jitsu." And it's like, dude, you want to come train with us? Pretty much. Thing. And then I tapped on him out, and he got pissed off. And he never came back. So I was like, "Oh, our friends aren't coming home."
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. That's all right, because I have a bunch of airmen in my school because we're only 20 minutes north of Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them, has, he was like training and whatnot, and we have some younger students that participate in some of the adult class.
Nice.
And they're but again, they would do it slightly longer, and he was just like, dude, I don't like getting tapped out by them, blah, blah, blah. It kind of hits the ego. I literally had to sit down with them and go, then why are you doing this? Are you actually doing this to it is. I'm like, are you worried about getting tapped out by the teenager, or are you here to learn something and become better? So I had to have like a 10, 15-minute conversation. I can see him kind of stop and like, shit, you're right. Because I've been in that boat, when I first started training when I was 26, 25, 26, it was, I was gunning for that blue belt. I'm a first degree black belt now. So I'm gunning for this blue belt, and I'm slaying guys. All the white belts couldn't touch me at this time. Most of the blue belts couldn't touch me at this time, no matter how big they were. I'm starting to head up purple belts, and I'm like, oh, it's coming now. It's going to start the blue belt, and it didn't come, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
So now I'm getting pissed at my instructor because he sees me. I'm there as often as I can, sometimes two times or three times a day, and this is before kids, mind you. So I'm gunning for it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Then I literally had a gut check myself, going, why are you actually doing this? Are you doing this for the next belt? Or are you doing this because you were having a drinking issue? You couldn't sleep at night, so you turned to the damn bottle. Well, no, yeah, that's why you actually started training again, and you were getting fat. Yeah, no, you can't come up people's acts at the time and fix cable issues and electrical issues when you're fat. Yeah, no. So get in shape, do something that you actually did as a kid, and let's head on. Then all of a sudden, here's the belt. Oh,
exactly.
Here comes the next belt.
I've been training since 2007. I'm a blue belt.
See, there you go.
I switched gyms a bunch of times, and then I had a couple injuries. Like I broke my neck in 2016, and I was supposed to be out for 18 months, but I was actually medically cleared to start training in like 2 months because I was so stubborn. I'm like, fuck no, I'm not gonna be out for 18 months.
Doing this.
Yeah, no, I came back and it was good to go. But I've been I think I got promoted to blue belt in 2015, and trained for a while, and then I ended up switching gyms to do some mixed martial arts, and then I hurt my neck, and then I started fighting again at another gym and trained there quite a bit, and then I was mainly focusing on MMA though, not so much jiu-jitsu. So I get it, I understand, and then I went back to my original gym. Places just like family, man, at Tracks BJJ, and you just have to not give a shit about the belt. Yes, I'm probably gonna cry like a little bitch if I get promoted to purple. I mean, just like I'd cry when I got fucking blue belt. This is the way it happens, man, because I'm such a fucking emotional person. But it's not the reason, right? That's just the reward. The reason is to be better than you were before.
Yeah. The only belt I wanted, I truly wanted, and kind of was like, I kind of deserve this one now, was when I got my brown. Because we moved, my last day in San Diego with my teacher, Paulo, was the day my wife and I moved back to Santa Maria. My wife at the time was working for Santa Barbara County Dispatch. And I tied up everything down there as she started to work. And then I packed up the house, and then we moved up here. So my last day in San Diego was literally the day I got my purple belt. So that was a highly emotional day. So yeah, I cried because I wasn't just getting promoted. That was like great. Paulo actually surprised me with it. But I was leaving my family down there. And since her family lives up here, my family lives in Arizona, we were in between. But I left this family that I had found, basically. And so I was like, well, shit, I don't want to leave these guys. Paulo was my jiu-jitsu father in a way, and one of my closest friends. Then not to mention everybody else who I trained with and gone up the ranks with them. So yeah, I cried, and then for like the next year after that, I was going down like every other month just because I wasn't done per se. But so I was a purple belt for 4 years, and then I started teaching by that time, and I was like, okay, all right, now I'm ready for this brown belt. And so lucky enough, I was able to get affiliation with my teacher. And then soon thereafter, he goes, here, okay, here's your brown belt. And then within a year after that, he goes, oh yeah, here's your black belt. So he drives up here to Santa Maria on a whim. He goes, yeah, here's your black belt. And so I kind of did this whole like, yeah, I'm not crying, you're crying. Give him a hug, kiss him on the cheek, and I called him a bastard because I was like, I wasn't ready for my black belt at that time. I wanted to compete just a little bit more under my brown. I wanted to feel like a brown belt. I still feel like a newly promoted brown belt when he gave me my black. And so, but you can't argue with the sensei, with the professor. So it's
exactly. What are you gonna do? Nah, I'm good. Don't work like that.
Come back in about 6 months and we can have that conversation again. No, I wasn't. I was happy
when I got my blue belt. It was kind of the same thing. I had a tournament the next weekend, and he surprised me with my blue belt. I'm like, shit! Now I got to sign up for a blue belt, and so I was like shitting my pants. But I ended up winning 4 matches in a row, but I still lost for second place. But still, 4 matches in a row. It's pretty damn good. I was happy. Yeah, and then I competed in the. And then I competed in the absolute after that, and I lost to a brown belt like instantly. I was like, shit, I figured that was going to happen, but he's a black belt, not a really good one. But I was shocked because I'd only been I quit jiu-jitsu for a long period of time.
Okay.
And I had never trained in a gi. And I've always been training for fights because I wanted to be a fighter. And then I put a gi on back in 2014 is when I started up again at Track Speed JJ with Mark Mortensen. Mark is a Air Force vet, so
Okay.
super supportive of WNA. He's an awesome dude. And I was having some issues. I was drinking a lot, and jiu-jitsu actually was the reason why I quit drinking for a little while.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a better person. I had cheated on my, now ex-wife a few times after that. She's had some infidelity issues with me too when I was overseas. So it's like it was a shitty relationship, and
Sure.
we should have broke it off long before we did. But she ended up getting pregnant with our second kid. So it was like, you got to try to do what's right, right?
Yeah.
And it just wasn't good for us. We were
Sure.
not good together. We get along just fine now, and we've forgiven each other for the past. So that's good.
Well,
But
that's good.
I just started training, and I got promoted. I think 6 months later, I got my blue belt after I started training again. So in 6 months, just hit me out of nowhere. He helped me lose weight. I was like 215 pounds when I started. And when I competed in my first tournament, I was just going to compete at I think it was like 191 or something like that. But he's like, no, I think you can cut the weight. So I cut down, and I cut down, and I did well. I won first place. So I won 3 tournaments in a row as a white belt, and I was like, fuck yeah, I love jiu-jitsu. This is awesome. So it gave me hope. And then before my first blue belt competition, I get promoted a week before, and I'm just caught off guard. And so I'm super emotional and fucking start crying and shit. It's like, oh my God. But then it's like, I've been working my ass off for the last, when did I start up again? I think I started up again last August at Tracks, and it's been great. Okay. It's such an amazing family, and that's what I care about. I care about the brotherhood. I care about the family and the hardcore training that we do with each other.
Yeah.
The belt is secondary.
Belt to me should always be secondary. Now, I don't agree when you do have schools that sandbag guys during competitions. I don't agree with how long it may take somebody to go from white to blue or blue to purple or so on and so forth. I try to keep on a time frame, and usually when I promote people, I have to be reminded how long somebody's been in the school because I lose track of time.
Yeah, for sure. You got a lot of students.
Yeah, to a degree. Sorry, my brother-in-law's coming in to train people, and so I get to see everybody that walks in. So he just walked in with my nephews and my niece, and they're like all waving at me. So
yeah, no worries.
Sorry, guys, but yeah,
I got bitch slapped by my 7-year-old last week while on live on a podcast. So it's all good. It happens.
Awesome. Keep it up, sweetie. Keep it up. But that's the thing, and in here in my school, it's like I've been told this. I've been using it as a bit of a marketing point. Is I have a culture in here that's not like any others. The culture I have in my school, even my teacher sister, and he applauds me every time he comes up here for promotions, and then he leaves. He calls me up when he gets back down to San Diego, and he almost has me in tears every time. He goes, "Chris, I love it here. I love Santa Maria, Brazil. I love what you've done there. You guys are more of a family than I can ever have hoped for." There's things that I've mirrored from him, and there's things that he's mirrored from me. Because obviously I'm doing something right. Then he sits back and thinks about it. And especially during quarantine, he would call me all the time. And Paulo's never called me this much.
Yeah.
So he would sit there, ask what I'm doing, like how my students are going, and then vice versa and whatnot. We talk some business and marketing tactics and stuff like that. But when I have people who train from other schools come in and visit, they're like, Chris, this is a community unlike many other schools have. It's like, yeah, we train hard. I make fun of everybody. I mean, I've made fun of you like the first few times you and I talked over the phone.
Well, we're veterans, so that's pretty much automatic.
Well, sure.
I think I mentioned something about crayons, or I'll bring you a box. I can visit you.
Yeah, there you go. Blue and orange and red are my favorite. So I just like those colors a lot. Somebody get it, they gotta pick it out. But
should make a crayon patch for Marines. For geese.
I've seen that. I've seen one like that.
That's awesome.
I think I saw it and went, God damn it. That's all right. If you want, you can give me a patch that says I found them with a picture of MVGs right underneath it, and I'll tell that story later. But But it's just when I have friends that train from other schools, they come in and they go, dude, we like it here. We love it here. It's like, and I think at
Nice.
times they haven't said it, but I can get the sense is like, if I found this school sooner, I would be here. Because there's guys that come in and they recognize some of the students and they go, everyone walks up, says, hey, how you doing? And give each other a hug and say, hey, let's get to training. And I show technique and then we roll. And then at the end, everyone's like, are we done yet? And I walk over, I'm going, did you die? No, good. Shut up and get up. Let's go. Line up. Let's get out of here. But it's just I wanted a place that not only can I feel safe bringing my family to, but a place that law enforcement feels safe to train, people from the outside feel safe to train, as well as bring their families in, not just to sit and watch, but to sit down and train as well. So that's one thing about the majority of the jiu-jitsu community is come in, roll, let's have a great time. To me, where it gets a little skewed is when the money starts driving the school, where it's like, oh, this is a big name, and we all know some of those big names that are out there. It's like, great. So a drop-in fee, $100. You're like, for an hour class?
What?
Oh,
no, thanks. I'm good.
Yeah, it's like, say that really? Okay. I got you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks again. And you take off. And for me, I normally I should charge a drop-in fee. I have it listed, but I rarely collect it because people go, okay, well, how much? Don't worry about it. No, how much? I want to pay. Okay, give me your money. I grab it, fold it back up, put it back in the pocket. I'm like, get your ass out there and train. I don't care. Yeah, but I got paid for lessons. I'm like, yeah, sure, you should, and I should collect, but I don't want it. Go.
Yeah.
It's like, I sit down and going, okay, how many times are you planning to be here? Well, I don't know. Okay, that doesn't answer my question. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'm here for a week. Okay, so calculate. Okay, give me $50 for the whole week. Oh, okay. Oh, really? That's it? Yeah, give it to me. Thank you. Now go have fun with your friends. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love that. And every time I travel anywhere, I train jiu-jitsu. That's one thing I tell Mara, my girlfriend, all the time. I was like, no matter where we go, I'm training jiu-jitsu because we got a bunch of travel ideas and stuff. And we're going down. I just bought us tickets to Mexico for our anniversary. We're going down in January, and we're going to Tulum, and I think it's called Tulum BJJ is where I'm going down to train. So I'm gonna go at least once, and so they're like, yeah, we got a drop-in fee, but we probably just come train. I think I've been charged like twice, and I'm happy to pay. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm using their facilities, but it's just it's so nice knowing that you can have a felon and a cop literally rolling with each other, having a good time, smiling and laughing right next to each other.
And at times, yeah. At times.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's sometimes it gets a little wild, but I've seen people that I know are felons, rolling with cops, and I think it's beautiful. Jiu-jitsu brings people together, and I absolutely love it.
Well, at the end of the day, it's not what are you doing, in terms of training. It's what's the training doing for you at the end of the day. If you can sit there, literally step back and go, wow, I feel better today than I did yesterday. I mean, not just the physically, the physical side, but I'm talking about emotional as well as everything else that follows it. I mean, I've had a stripe not that long ago to a brand new butter bar from the Air Force. I love this woman to death. She came in, she reached out to me, came in, and just terrible upbringing. I mean, just god awful. I mean, my heart aches for her still. Gave her first stripe after like 2 months, 3 months of training. And she's sitting there, and I'm like, kind of talk a little bit. And she was like, can you hurry the fuck up before I start crying? And I look up, and she's fair skinned anyway, but I look up, her face, her nose is red, eyes are red, and she's just like tensing up, like, don't cry. Don't cry. I'm like, it's okay, sweetie. Finish. And of course, like me being an asshole, I start slowing down, like I'm gonna
try to bring them out.
Yeah. But it's happened, because, and I call it the power of the duct tape, but it's amazing just how one fucking white stripe.
Yeah, one little piece of tape.
Little piece of fucking duct tape. That's why I call it the power of the duct tape. It's a joke, but the truth is the emotional side behind it. It's like, again, are you becoming better through your training? Again, my situation, not situation, but my story is very similar to yours. Drinking. heavily, 6-pack and a pint of whiskey daily, where, and a half a pack of cigarettes, easy.
Yeah.
Just for what? So I can sleep. That was it. I was, and of course, the nightmares follow soon thereafter. Staying up late because I didn't want to go to sleep. For the longest time, I was afraid to go to sleep because my wife would wake me up and she'd be like, "Wake up!" I'm like, "What? What's going on? Leave me alone." She was like, "You just hit me again." I'm like, "Oh no, 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 no!" And I stop, and of course, I'm on the verge of tears because I feel like shit, And I've never laid a hand on my wife ever, nor will I ever. But just knowing that here I'm in the middle of my sleep, and my wife says I still kind of roll over and funk, but it's, but the fact that
Does she
she
wear
said
a
I
mouth
would
guard
wake
to
her up,
bed?
she might as well though. Actually, or start wearing headgear. I'm gonna do that tonight. I got my headgear in my office. I'm gonna go, "Hey, honey, put this
Just
on."
hand it to her, like, here you go, good night.
There you go. Yeah, love you, honey. But it's just, when she says she's getting startled awake, and I'm doing this, yelling and screaming, cussing at somebody, and it's, that hits you just differently. So, no, Reese, thank you. Actually,
Well, I
no,
think one of the hardest parts too is, is when the drinking gets out of control, because I had a small little shitty John boat in the basement, or in the garage back when I lived with my ex, and I had a hidden compartment in there where I would hide alcohol, just so I knew that it was going to be there if I needed it. And I had a huge like workbench area. I had another bottle hidden behind the workbench area. I had one hidden in the basement. There's alcohol everywhere, and
for
I
people
had
who
to.
are paranoid, hide knives, you were hiding booze.
I know, right? It's like, what the fuck is wrong with me? What the fuck? Why? Why did I even do that? I had no idea, and it was just like, I want to have it there. I was like, because I think somebody drank one of my bottles once, and I was just pissed. And I was like, no, I'm gonna hide this shit so I can fucking get my fix, because it was like, it was after like 10 o'clock, and I was pissed because I couldn't go get more. And so I was fucking stressed out because then I had to actually deal with my demons, and that's a big reason why, and a lot of people know that part of the reason why I started drinking so much is it really picked up after 2010 when I had that army guy. His name was Michael Jarrett. He laid down in his bed in Balad in 2000. It was 2010, January 6th, and he shot himself under the chin with an M16, but he was still alive when I got there. And so I walked in and I fucking held his hand while he died. So it's like, how do you forget that? How do you try to get that out of your memory? And so I just would drink myself shitty and pass out. It's the only way I could get some sleep.
Yeah. No, 100%. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I've been out since 2005, so I've been out for a hot minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I still go back there, especially at night, which is why I stay up so late and I make knives. And hey, Marie, I don't know who you are. And staying up late to make knives and or play a video game with some buddies and whatnot, just so when I lay down, I'm gonna go to sleep. I don't want to sit there and think before. I don't want to think about my business. I don't want to think about the next knife I have to make or what my kids have to do tomorrow. I want to get in, lay down, go to sleep. So and I still get moments where I'm like, I don't want to go to sleep because again, I don't want to close my eyes. It just be coherent enough, and I start seeing things again, or reminisce on certain situations that happened back in 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
I don't. Even I have friends. I have a good friend of mine up in Seattle that he wants me to do microdosing with him with psychedelics, and I'm like, I
heard it's fun.
I've heard it's fun. I've also heard that it does help with PTSD, but I tell them, like, I do not want to relive anything. I do not.
I think there's a program that's actually using microdosing mushrooms for veterans. It's all in a controlled environment and everything like that, and they're using DMT and a few other things too, and they're finding fantastic results.
Yeah, I heard on Joe Rogan's podcast, he's done it a bunch of times. Rashad Evans and a few other guys. It's just I don't know. I just don't know.
I haven't messed around with that shit either. I'm all for it. I love the fact that I try not to get political, but I love the fact that Trump did push out the whole the right to try with alternative alternative healing methods and everything.
Mhm.
And then a lot of states started legalizing marijuana and everything like that. And from what I've found from talking to veterans, I know a massive amount of veterans who moved to Colorado when they legalized marijuana just because they wanted to try it. And these guys are running businesses. They're happy. They're like, we just needed something to take the edge off, and alcohol wasn't doing it. The VA was killing me.
Yeah.
And, we wanted to try something different, and not get arrested for smoking a plant.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it's ridiculous.
Oh, exactly.
So
100%.
I'm happy to see more people are at least looking into alternatives rather than going straight for opiates, because that shit, the opiate crisis right now is just, it's ridiculous. And I
Oh,
love seeing people trying different things.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Yeah, one thing that's also helped me out with the PTSD, besides training and whatnot, was I. It took us a while to figure this out, but my dad's actually Native American, so we kind
Mhm.
of, and I'm like most veterans, after some time, we kind of stopped believing in some kind of higher power or creator or something else like that. And for a while, I was a very strong and I would say like devout atheist, where I literally argue with people um, about faith and religion and stuff like that. Now, I grew up Roman Catholic, very
Mhm.
devout. I was an altar server and all that stuff. My dad used to work for the Catholic Church. We would go every Sunday, on and on. So yeah, I had to study the Bible. My dad would read more into theology and different belief systems and whatnot. And he has a very acute understanding of just about every major religion out there and some of like the occult stuff and whatnot. So I was fairly educated in terms of theology. And of course, going to the Catholic high school and stuff like that, we kind of go like, here, okay, yeah, we don't have 6 periods worth of academics. No, we're going to throw one more class, religion at you.
Yeah.
So, so there was that. But so I would have friends when I got back in 2003 ask me how my relationship with God was. And I look at them going, don't go there. Just don't. Like, well, why not? I'm like, yeah, when you see the things that like I've seen,
Mhm.
you sit back and you have no choice but to question, why would a God or Jesus or whatever you want to title this thing, why would you sit there and say that this is what his plan
Mhm.
was?
Yeah, I
Don't
could
sit
I could have
there.
called myself an atheist for a while too.
Yeah.
The military kind
Now,
of fucked all that up.
yeah, just a little bit. Now, so when I moved back to Santa Maria and I started teaching, there was a man, there's a former Marine by the name of Gil Harper,
Mhm.
Native American. And when he looked at me, he goes, "What tribe you from?" I'm like, "What are you talking about tribe?" I'm like, "I'm half white, half Mexican." And he smacks me. Boom. He goes, "You're not Mexican." I'm like, "Last name, smart ass, Ruiz." He goes, so he broke it down to me just a little more. He goes, "Where's
Yeah.
your family from in Mexico?" I'm like, "I don't know," because I didn't know.
Mhm.
So he met my dad, and they actually knew each other from when they were kids. And so we were talking. Comes to find out we're Yaqui from Tucson, Arizona,
Mm.
and they kind of float it, but they're very nomadic, like most native tribes. They go down from Sonora, Mexico, and came up. Well, during one of the many wars that they fought, they were split into factions. Some
Mhm.
went to Texas, New Mexico, most landed in Arizona, but they still traveled back and forth. So I started reading more into it, where I thought I got my stubbornness and my some of my physical attributes from the Irish side from my mom's. I get my height from my mom's side. I should be around 6'2", thanks to my dad, but no. My mom, well, I got stuck being a midget. The warrior
How
side,
tall are you?
5'9.5".
Okay, gotcha.
I'm midget. I'm a short, fat Irishman.
One of my best
Native
friends in the
American.
Air Force was 5'1". He used to
That's
get
a
mad at me because I
small
used to.
dude.
He used to get mad at me because I used to pick him up and put him on my shoulders all the time. He's like, "Put me down."
Like, look, he can feel like look down at the world because it's the only time he's gonna be able to do it. Yeah, so I was reading more into the Yaqui culture and heritage, and those dudes are fighters, and I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. So they fought the Spaniards, the other tribes, the Mexican army, the American army, and whatnot. And they say that we've never lost a war. We physically lost one war, and that was against the United States, the United States cavalry, but they didn't break our spirit. So to them, they never
Mhm.
lost the war. They just got splintered. And there's a bunch of, I think there's poems or songs and just the stereotypes of Yaquis. They're like, "Oh, wow, you guys are crazy." And from what I've understood, we are. And I never quite understood that because I'll be out I don't go out to bars these days. Period.
Yeah, I don't either.
Just and I've the last one a few times I have, it doesn't. I swear to God, it never fails. A fight breaks out right next to me, and who jumps right in the middle of it without thinking? This guy.
Yeah.
So much where one of my best friends he will lean into me before going to a concert in Los Angeles. He goes, "No fights, Chris." I'm like, I don't start them. I do not. But I have no problem jumping right in the middle of them. So, and that's just part of it. But again, part of that is how do I deal with it afterwards? How can I calm myself down and stuff like that? So
I'm kind of I would say I'm a pacifist. I don't like fights. I don't like altercations. I will literally get up and fucking leave. I'm not going to stay around it because I was a bouncer for the first year that I got out of the military. And, I've said on this podcast multiple times that I've had kind of a dark path. And when I was bouncing, cocaine was very accessible. And so we would do a couple bumps before we would start the day. And then next thing you know, we're beating the shit out of 4 or 5 guys, and so I literally jumped in front of it all the time. And then 2013, I ended up getting a different job. And then like slowly started to train jiu-jitsu, and it just slowly started to just calm my ego a little bit. And I'm just like, what? Why fight, man? Fuck that. But if it happens, there was one time, the last time I ever got in any kind of altercation, a guy hit me with his car, and he backed up into me, like hit me hard as shit. And so I stood up and I punched his hood or the trunk. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? His friend opened up his door and hit my buddy's car, and my buddy was trying to get his insurance information. So I'm like, I'll just take a picture of his license plate and we'll do it from there, and we'll just leave and take care of it later. Dude hits it in reverse and fucking hits me and almost runs me over. Like I went flying like 10 feet. So I run over and I smash his trunk, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? I was like, I'm just trying to get your insurance. I'm just trying to get your information. Not thinking that he would do it again. I went back there again to take a picture, rams it in reverse, hits me, and then rams into my car. So I've just read. I go from pacifist, happy guy to I'm going to fucking kill you.
I'm going to kill you.
Punch through his window, hit him in the face, open up the car, and I hit him like 5 or 6 times, and I knocked him out. And I walked over because his friend was trying to fight my cousin. And you don't fuck with my family. So I slid over the hood, fucking, and I was just like, you're next, motherfucker. I was like, hey, your friend's dead in the car. I was like, do you really want to do this, or are we going to just leave? So we drove away, and I called my buddy and was like, dude, I hate fighting. I was like, but he hit me with a car, and I don't remember what happened after that. So I guess I'm a pacifist unless you hit me with your car.
Well, that goes with it. That goes without saying. I can't be a pacifist. I just use the training that I have learned, which is not just in jiu-jitsu or judo or anything else. It's numerous things that I just do it so I can, one, protect myself, protect my family, no matter what part of my family's there. But also be able to pass that on to somebody else, because in the event I need them, I need to make sure that they can take care of me at the same time. And from weaponry to hand to hand to throwing somebody, even to shooting somebody, obviously I'm not going to teach that. They can go take care of that themselves. I don't do that, but it's just do I like fighting itself? No, I don't even like coaching MMA these days. It's just too much. The egos, it's very draining. It takes a lot of time away from my family. I don't have the time for it, and I don't have time for the egos. It just drives me nuts.
I just have the warrior in a garden mindset. I'm going to be prepared, and I will be able to beat the shit out of you, and I can shoot like a fucking saint. But I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid that conflict. I don't want to do it. But I mean, if a family member is in danger or something along those lines, yeah, sure. But it takes a lot to get me to that point where I'm actually going to get physical with somebody. I don't want to do it. I'm not a fan.
Oh, I'm the same way, and I've had to hold back several times because some of the people that I would have died or would have killed after like a few punches end up being children of good friends of mine. I was like, you're lucky right now. So lucky. So, and I know some people go, oh yeah, he's full of shit. No, I'm not. I wish I could say that's just an embellishment story, but it's not. It's not fun when I can't when I go to a friend's birthday at a bar and I'm getting smacked in the back of the head because I'm getting mistaken for somebody else, and I turn around and it's like, if you didn't look like your dad, who's a really good friend of mine, I would hit you so hard that I would have gotten, escorted out in handcuffs. It's like, oh, it's like people you don't understand, just don't understand.
Well, it's so hard too, because like when we're overseas and everything, we're trained to be killers. We're trained to hurt people. We're trained to kill. We're trained to like actually take out the targets, not just like, give hugs and fucking rainbows and butterflies, So it's like it's hard to turn that off. And no matter how long you were in, and you saying you were in Iraq back in those days, I mean that was some crazy shit going on back then.
Yeah.
And
that was the heat of it.
We were mainly doing convoys, and and I was a 50 cal gunner. So my job was to literally just blow the shit out of whatever was in our way, or if we're getting attacked, to just take it out. So I mean, you have that mindset for so long, and then you get out and it's just like, okay, be happy, be nice, don't hurt anybody. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So then you become a bouncer and beat the shit out of people for a year, and then
I can do it legally, kind of, to a degree.
It's hard to get it out of you, but Jiu-Jitsu has really helped me with a lot of that stuff, and I feel like to the point where I have my ego under control, and I'm really happy too, because I got a lot of other things too, and then another reason why I wanted to have you on this podcast was to talk about the knives, because I have so many different outlets and I have so many different things that I do. I'm sure you've seen Warriors Next Adventure and all the million projects that we got going on.
Yeah.
I have to stay busy. I like you were talking about, staying up late, everything like that, or playing video games just to get to the point where you're so tired when you go to bed, you just go to bed. I'm the same way, but I've used Warriors Next Adventure for that. I work until I fucking crash. I'm 100 miles an hour until I fall asleep. Yeah. So how did you get started on making knives?
I got started, watching Forge and Fire like most guys do now. Nice. But the wife and I were on the verge of a divorce, and we were on that brink of, we didn't know if we should or if we actually really wanted to. So, and it was either, I was in and out of the house for about a good 2 years, something like that. And so I just started watching that, via YouTube. And I was like, you know what, that seemed like a lot of fun. And I've been wanting to do something that I can make with my hands all over again. Drawing's one thing. To me, drawing, I can do that whenever. I can pick up a piece of paper and doodle something. Okay, yeah, but it doesn't have the same release. Yep. So I just started doing stock removal from there. I slowly bought like a 1x30 grinder for Harbor Freight and just started getting metal. It's before I actually understood what the hell I was doing. I still don't understand what the hell I'm doing 100%, but have a better understanding.
Man, some of those knives look really fucking cool though.
Well, thanks. It's still just a work in progress. I try to get as much information as possible, watching YouTube videos, books, magazines, stuff like that. Sign up for Jason Knight's Elemental Knife series and stuff like that. So I got that. Cool. Been watching that and taking those little quizzes and shit like that. But it's just, I need a release. And that was one time that I can sit there and do something. It did not take me like an hour to do. Like drawing can take me an hour. It depends, especially with the faster, the more practice I had, the faster I can whip through a sketch really fast. Well, a knife, sure, I can hammer a knife out in about 3 hours if it's like something small. But if I need to work on it, so say like you ordered a knife from me, I'm like, okay, I'd ask purpose, how big's your hand, and why. Mm-hmm. So you give me all that information. Then I sit back and go, okay, how am I going to prepare this knife? Sometimes some people actually have a solid idea. Some people go, well, you do it. I'm like, okay. It's like walking into a tattoo artist going, okay, I want a tattoo. Okay, great. I want a tattoo.
Of what?
What do you want? Of what? Exactly. So, then, first it was just basic stock removal. And then I made a forge, but I didn't make the burners properly. And the forge, now I still have that forge. I look at it going, I'll fix that one of these days. So I ended up buying one, and then slowly but surely started learning how to forge them out pretty much just through videos and books and stuff like that. So
Nice.
and I did it as a release. I needed a release. I was still home. I wasn't out and about doing whatever's. I can do it at home. If my wife needed me, I can stop what I'm doing and go in and take care of it.
Yeah.
To where now, thanks, like, well, the one positive side of quarantine or COVID was the fact that though knife making is just a hobby, it turned into a small side gig during the quarantine time.
Nice.
Because when I had to shut down my martial arts school, it was like, how am I gonna, one, how is it gonna survive? But two, how am I going to survive? Yeah, I have disability. My wife's still working, but we still have a mortgage. We have, we have to feed our kids. We have to feed ourselves. Sure, if we have to get rid of internet, then we can get rid of internet. And cell phones, fine. We can dumb them down to something else. That's fine. That's no big deal.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so we're prepping to do some stuff. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this. And I told my wife, I'm like, my brother gave me a file about that. I don't know, about 18 inches long. It was about quarter of an inch thick. Took a picture on Instagram, marked 3 little scores on it with the soapstone. I said, 1 knife, 3 files, $100 each. And I said, this is why. And boom, within a week, I had enough work for 3 months.
Nice.
And then it just continued and continued. I finally caught up with everything from April. And
Holy shit.
I'm just about done. I had to hire my best friend to help me out. I had to show him how to glue handles and shape them and whatnot. So our process is I forge them out, heat treat them, temper them, get an initial grind on them, hand to him or clean them up. Then I hand them to him. He glues the handle. Then I finish everything else from there.
Yeah.
So, as at least knives, at least the handle part can be one of the most time consuming things, because once you glue it down, you're like, great, how am I going to shape this thing? Sometimes you can shape a tang to where it's, you can grip it and go, okay, that feels good in the hand, but can you complete the rest of it to where it feels solid in the hand? It may feel good, but is it solid in the hand? Do you feel like you're actually part of the knife? So I had to teach Sean that, which took some time, but then he got used to it. Now we got to make it pretty, which is the hand sanding part. That takes the longest time. Hand sanding the damn metal, the blade, and then hand sanding the actual handle material. So Sean took care of that part. As he's doing that, I can work on more knives and get caught up from there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how I got started, was just the fact I needed a new hobby that would not turn into a full-time gig like jiu-jitsu. So, and that's one thing that my wife made sure I promised, was the fact that I would do this as a hobby, have it pay for itself through some knife sales. And at the end of the day, I'm still happy. She's happy. I can do it whenever I want for the most part. And everyone's happy. So good. Yeah, during the quarantine, I was forging every day. I was making a knife every single day. The wife would come home from work around 2:30. I was like, okay, tag, you're it. I'm out in the garage, spark up the force, turn on the grinder, and I'm getting to work. And I was pumping out knives like crazy. And yeah, it did slow down, but I have a bunch of kitchen knives to do and a couple hunters that I have to do by Christmas, or at least by the first of the year.
Nice.
So I've kind of slowed it down because I had to get a break. I was feeling some burnout pretty good just from the knife making alone. Since we're able to open up at 10% capacity here at the school, so the school's back open. So we're doing some stuff back here. So now I have the business side to actually run of my martial art business again. And whatnot. So it's just, I have a lot going on. Plus the online, the social distance learning for my kids, and I still do private lessons here and there. I still do personal training here and there. So it's like got all this shit happening all at once. So something had to take a break. Knife making is the easiest, but on the weekends I spark up the forge and I get to work, as long as we don't have anything pressing, that has to get done.
When I come visit you next year, I want to come check out that forge, if you don't mind. I think it's pretty cool. I've only seen one forge. There's this place in Minnesota called Forging Ahead up in Duluth, Minnesota. Okay. And there's a bunch of vets in there, and 23rd Veteran has a bunch of veterans go in there and actually make knives and everything. Okay. So it's really cool. But I'd like to
there's
hear your setup.
actually in the Forge and Fire episode when Ben Abbott won. If the contestant won, then yes, they got the 20 grand or 10 grand, whatever the monetary amount was. But if the judge won, they donated that money to a certain cause, and he donated to, I think it's in West Virginia. Let me see. I think my buddy John sent it to me too. Basically, it's an organization that allows vets and law enforcement go and learn how to make a knife and blacksmith for free.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's something like that up in Duluth, and then up in northern Minnesota and Grand Marais, there's like a class you could take for the weekend, which is pretty sweet.
Okay. Yeah, that's something very, very similar. Class tomorrow. Well, I'm looking for it.
I actually looked into making a forge too. I looked on YouTube and checked a bunch of the propane ones and a few other things. I was just like, oh, it looks interesting. But I'm like, man, I got too many fucking hobbies. I can't add forging on there as well.
like like the funny thing is with forging is like I'm like my daughter where I have a little bit of the ADD.
Yeah.
So I have to, when you're forging or you're grinding a knife, you have to stay focused. You have to pay attention to what the hell you're doing. I've skinned the knuckle. I have like, I will show you my hands, but I've ground. I have a scar on my first knuckle on this hand that was from 60 grit sandpaper going, 3,000 RPMs, and it doesn't burn. It just rips everything off.
Yeah.
I've been hand sanding knives, cut the cuticles off my fingers a bunch of times. During quarantine, I was teaching my kids how to forge a little bit because they asked, and so I'm like, okay, so we had a file, and all three of us were taking turns hitting it. Well, I hit it and came up and smacked right in the face. So if you go to my Instagram, you actually see I have like a beautiful burn mark, like it's like right here. It actually went up to my nose and came down this way. I had a full beard. If it wasn't for the beard, my face, I'll probably have a nasty scar. You can see the lines right here of the actual file itself, the teeth, and yeah, because I just wasn't paying attention for that brief second, and boom, and floor caught on fire. The kid screamed over that. Dad's face was fine, but the floor was catching on fire, so let's lose our shit over that. But yeah, you have to stay focused. You have, especially grinding, especially hammering out, hot steel. If you don't pay attention to what's going on, you're gonna get hurt big time. So it's definitely helped me maintain a sense of focus, like sparring does. With sparring, you can't think about something else. You can't think about the argument that you had at work or at home, because if you do, fine, then someone's gonna choke the shit out of you, or before you know, your arm's getting hyperextended or your foot's getting snapped in two.
That's one of the conversations that I've had with I think when I do this documentary tour, we're going to like 37 different jiu-jitsu gyms, and every single person I talk to, we're just like, I have this conversation with my coach all the time. It's like, whenever you're going to training, whatever happened during the day, the second you walk in that door, it needs to stay outside.
Outside.
And then you get on the mats, you train, you work your ass off. And then by the end of the day, or at the end of training and everything, you realize that all of those issues and all those problems that you had, they're really not that bad. You start to look at them in a different perspective. And
that's small.
Exactly. And it just makes everything in life just a little bit easier to deal with, And I was just talking to a guy the other day, and he's like, if you ever want, he's like, I need to tell my wife if she ever wants something, she needs to ask me right after jiu-jitsu, because that's probably the best chance of her actually getting it. Like, damn, that's right.
That's funny.
Totally true. I call Mara all the time after I'm done with training on my way home. I'll give her a call. I'm like, hey, how you doing? She's like, you just get done with jiu-jitsu? I was like, I sure did. I'm super happy. And she's like, you seem good. Yeah. Because like, when I train jiu-jitsu, it's just, it's all about learning. And coach let me teach the other day. Nice. He had some stuff he had to get done. And I'm a 3-stripe blue belt. Yeah, 3-stripe blue belt. And fucking brain damage. I can't remember how many stripes I have. So we had a couple other blue belts. So we had a couple other blue belts in there, and then I was teaching one of the moves. He actually calls it the Ron bar, because I nailed it in a tournament like right after he showed it to me, and I kind of modified it a little bit. So it's like you're laying in guard. You have the sleeve and you have the lapel. So you shrimp out and then you shrimp the other way. But when you shrimp the other way, you take your left leg and you pull them down and you put it on top of their shoulder. And so instead of rolling out, you actually take your leg, you wrap it over their head and underneath their arms. So you got to be long to be able to do this. And then you fucking swing them back and you rip an armbar on them. And so
I know what you're talking
that's
about.
like
I've done it.
That's like my signature. And so he's like, why don't you teach that for now? Because we had a couple white belts and never done it. And I was telling him afterwards, I was like, I really appreciate you let me do that. He's like, I appreciate it. I was busy because he's a realtor. And so he's like, do you mind doing it? I'm like, fuck yeah. But the best part about teaching for me is I was a trainer at Dispatch for a long time. I ended up backing out of it after my TBI because I just can't focus anymore.
Yeah.
But I started to realize that I learn so much more when I'm teaching because you got to think about all of those little things. If you don't turn your hand slightly this way, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's why jiu-jitsu is so amazing to me. It seems like you're getting the same thing out of working on these knives, because then if you turn the knife at a wrong angle, you're going to nail the grinder. It's such an amazing feeling.
I'm teaching my best friend how to grind right now. On how to grind bevels, which is the biggest challenge. Hammering out the knife is frustrating, don't get me wrong, but you can hammer out a profile and look at it and go, okay, I just have to clean up the lines right here, which is just grinder work. And it's not hard to turn on the grinder, and then you shape it up to exactly how you want it. Heat treat it, fine. Temper it, hard. You just stick it inside a certain temperature, quench it in oil, great. Dry it off. Hey, it's straight, cool. If not, okay, throw the tempering over it, and then I can fix it from there. Mm-hmm. Throw it in there for 450 degrees for an hour or two, and then you walk away. Great. Now you got to grind the bevels. Now you got to make it look nice and pretty. That's the challenging part. Hand sanding a knife, obviously, that's easy. You did take some whatever grit sandpaper, go up and down. Looks like you're jerking yourself. But, but as you sit up to a grinder and you're, I'll just use this pen, where you're sitting and you're up at it like this, and you're just trying to make sure that the angle is just, okay, line for the camera, is just right this way. Yeah. And you're coming through. Okay, great. You got one side, you're like, oh, that looks nice. Great. Here comes the challenging part. Other side. Then you're like, oh, son of a bitch. And there's times where I've sat there and I've tried to get like the picture perfect grinds on their grind lines, and it doesn't work because this hand doesn't want to cooperate like this hand does, or vice versa. So it's such a challenge, and that's what makes it so fun. And again, just like anything else, the more consistent you are, the better you become. And to me, it's, I know I do a great job at a knife. Me personally, is when I don't want to give it to the guy who bought it. A guy may drop $350, $400, $500 on a knife, which is like great. That just pay for the knife and then some. That just fed my family. That just helped pay this bill. That helped pay my car stuff. But at the same time, it's like, but I don't want to give this knife to you. I like this knife. I can really hurt something or skin an animal when I go hunting with this knife.
Yeah.
But you bought it. Damn it. Here you go.
Okay.
So, I was like, okay, I'll give it to you after all. But, that and all, like, mailing off the knives is great because I've made so many for some of my Marine buddies. I did one. If you guys want to check out any of my knives, go to Instagram and look up at Lucky Seven Knives. And then you'll see all the knives that I post there. You got some
cool ones on there. What are the ones called that are like really tall for like chopping vegetables and shit? Those things are cool shit. I don't fucking know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain that. They're like,
we're talking about a knife, not anything else that's part of the human anatomy.
No, that's that big. No, it's the ones that are not thick, but they're short blades, but they're wide or tall. I don't remember. I'll text you afterwards. I'll show you which ones I'm talking about.
I'll draw it. Here's my whiteboard.
There you go. Okay. So
today, class,
it's going to be shorter. It's going to be somewhat shorter.
All right. Hang on, goofball. So you have something roughly shaped like this. This looks more like a chef knife. This can be from about 10 to like 15 inches in length. This way, it can be about 1.5 inches to 2, depending. Now, if we take chef knives and we can't stair step them down, you have like paring knives and stuff like that,
Mhm.
which are just a little bit smaller, but just a smaller version of this.
Okay.
You have hunter knives, which I prefer. I'm more of an expert. I can't say expert, but I'm really good at making those. My common thing is to do them like this. I have this really wide belly, and they come here, handle shape roughly like
Yeah,
that. Looks
that's
like a
what I
little
was
mini
talking about.
cleaver.
Yeah,
So this shape right here. So those guys are normally around. Do it so you guys can see it just a little bit better. Yeah, guys, I'm at my office because better internet connection, and my kids are not around. So
yeah,
this is
those are the
roughly,
ones I was talking about. Yeah, those are
yeah.
called a
So
hunter's knife.
here, a hunter knife, because this guy's roughly between 4 to 7 inches. Total length of the blade is going to be around 9 to 10 inches.
Okay.
So, but the most common shape you're going to see is like a drop point. That's not quite it, but something like that, or you get more of the traditional look where you kind of go. Oh, here we go. Boom, 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 roughly like that.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So hunter knives, because again, they're designed for hunting and stuff like that. Camper knives are close to the same shape. They're usually bigger, a little bit thicker spine,
Oh, okay.
just because you need to be able to use it not just to cut and slice, but to chop.
Yeah.
And survivalist style type knives and whatnot. So I make them all. I've made cleavers. I've made the Siberian cleaver, thanks to Amazon's Kitchen. Everyone wants that flipping knife, and it's then of course you can get Damascus or pattern welded steel and all that stuff. So everything's different. The great thing about making a knife, it's you make it your own.
Yeah.
I've had people walk up to me and go, "Hey, I want this knife specifically." I'll go, "Okay, great, buy it from them." But I want you to make it. I'm like, I'm not going to make that knife. Like, why not? But can't you do it? I'm like, maybe, but I'm not going to. Well, why not? Because
Yeah.
that's not my knife. If you want a knife for me, it's going to be my type of knife. That's why I ask, what do you want it for?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So they're like, oh, okay. So I've done antler-headed knives. I've done full tang, hidden tang, burn through handles, drop points, Tonto tips, you name it. I've done just about anything.
That's
The only
cool.
thing I haven't done are serrated tips. I've did one belly hook just recently for one of my former staff sergeants who retired as a gunny. Got to do another one from another guy that I served with who was one of my subordinates in Alpha Battery. Oh yeah, shout out to all my Alpha Battery guys right there.
Yeah, I've been following you along on Lucky Seven Knives on Instagram, and you make some pretty cool shit, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and
I like
my
them.
wife, my wife's actually QC for them. So I walk up and I go, check it out, babe, and she grabs it. It kills me because she'll grab it like this. She'll just sit there and hold it, and goes, "Hey, Phil's good." I'm like, grab it like you mean it, babe. Come on. But she.
It's pretty.
Hey Nick, what is the link? My cousin's asking. My cousin Doug is a vet. He's a firefighter here in the area. So he's
Nice.
like, I need the link for the podcast. Post it in your FB comments. I tried to do that and apparently I failed.
Yeah, that's so good. So the most of it's all on YouTube now. I did have it on Libsyn. I got about 15 episodes on Libsyn, which is streamed on Spotify. But since I started using StreamYard and doing online stuff because I had to adjust for COVID as well. I actually really like it because right now we're live on Facebook and YouTube, and it automatically saves on YouTube and Facebook. So you can go to Warriors Next Adventure on YouTube or Warriors Next Adventure on Facebook, and you'll be able to find them.
All right,
it's easier to find
right now.
It's easier to find them on YouTube. Facebook, I post so goddamn much; it's hard to find the stuff that I put up.
Okay, yeah, I just texted my cousin. He was like, "Cousin, what is it under?" Well, sorry. I thought
if you go to WNA podcast, there's another WNA podcast about wrestling or some shit. So I don't know. I'm not making any money from this, so I don't think I'm gonna get sued. So, well, hey, dude, I got to get rolling. I got to get my kids home. Glad we finally did this.
Yes, we'll do it again soon.
I'm working on the tour. So real quick, for the people who don't know, next year, we're supposed to do it this year, but next year we're filming a documentary called PTSD versus Jiu-Jitsu. And we're going around interviewing veterans, talking about alcohol issues, suicide attempts, some people with sexual military trauma, and how Jiu-Jitsu has actually helped them either rediscover themselves or to get to the point where they can actually be a functioning member of society again. There's a couple people that were pretty... It was pretty rough for them, and then jiu-jitsu kind of gave them a new life. So I'm going around telling these stories, and I'm having veterans like yourself tell these stories about how jiu-jitsu helped you beat alcoholism, and either helped you beat using drugs or PTSD, or just being able to go out and live a normal fucking life again. So it's going to be a pretty beautiful documentary. My hopes is everybody who watches it cries, because I like to pull up people's emotions. I want it to happen.
You dick.
I know, right? I'm that guy. Ooh, feelings. So I'll be going down to Santa Maria BJJ, and we're going to be going to 37 or so different other jiu-jitsu gyms, and I'll be coming out pretty soon, and I'll actually be able to tell everybody the actual dates again. So it'll make things a little bit easier to follow along when we're going on that trip. So if you guys want to donate to the GoFundMe, which is what we're using to get me and probably one other guy around the country, you can just go to Google. You can type in PTSD versus Jiu-Jitsu documentary, and you should see the GoFundMe under Warriors Next Adventure. So we should be coming out there late April, I would assume.
I think that's what we said. Hold on. I don't remember, because I know we talked during the first part or sometime in quarantine just to check up on each other and whatnot. And
I might be leaving a little earlier than usual. So I might be leaving like the first week of April instead of like this. I think I was going to leave the third week of April. So I added a few more stops, and I had a bunch of people tell me I was crazy because of the amount of driving. And, I literally had something planned for every single day. I'm like, I don't think you understand my work ethic.
Yeah.
I don't really need a rest day, especially for this shit.
Sleep is a thing, though, Nick. Come on now. Sleep is the thing.
Hey, my girlfriend got me some brand new velvet sheets for our anniversary. She bought me some curtains, and she's a genius with vitamins. So she's been taking care of me. And nice. I've actually slept like 3 days in a row for 7 hours straight without waking up.
Bravo, man. Bravo.
Yeah, man. So I'll get up with you soon, man. And I can't wait to come out and check out your gym, man. I'm excited.
Yeah,
to meet
I'm looking for it too. I'm gonna show you some sneaky stuff with some of the arm bars from that same position.
Hell yeah, man. I need it.
Because I have my go-tos. I have my one go-to arm bar that I get just about everybody. I don't care how big your arm is, and I'm gonna get it. So
yeah, nice. Okay, I'm gonna drop you off the stream. Just stay here. Don't go away for a second. Let me finish up here real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Sorry, it got a little dark in here. I gotta fix my lighting and everything. I'm redoing my podcast stuff. Check out Lucky 7 Knives on Instagram. Send him a message. Everybody order a knife from him. Keep his ass busy. Make his wife pissed off at him because he's got to work so hard. So I'm excited to go check that place out. Like I said, we're doing the documentary PTSD versus Jiu-Jitsu. And my hopes and dreams for this documentary is, like I said, I want everybody who watches this shit to cry, because I want it to touch on the struggles that veterans have to go through after the military with various forms or various causes of PTSD and different struggles that we go through. So my goal is to get it out there and actually get this thing done and produced. And my goal is to get it into the Sundance Film Festival. If I can get it into that, we can possibly get it on the Netflix. And so all proceeds from the documentary are going to go to Warriors Next Adventure. With the GoFundMe, everything donated to Warriors Next Adventure, we teamed up with WeDefy. So WeDefy is actually going to get 10% of everything that we raise on the GoFundMe after the expenses. So we are going to be donating 10% after expenses to WeDefy. Just they've been so supportive. Their mission is to help veterans start training jiu-jitsu. And they will actually pay for you to train jiu-jitsu. If you're 80% disabled or more, they'll pay for a whole year of training. So check out WeDefy Foundation. And as always, check out TKL Knives and use promo code WARRIOR, and you will get 10% off, and Tim will donate 10% to the nonprofit. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. Sorry about the COVID rant at the beginning. I'm over it. So I hope you guys don't hate me if we disagree. And if you do, I still love you. We'll talk soon, guys.